Hello, my name is Sharon Andrea. Welcome to my Instagram, live, and also my Facebook followers and my YouTube followers. You know, it's like I was toggling back and forth. Where should I go to deliver these messages? And so I've been guided by Spirit to just do it on Instagram so that way everybody gets to hear the messages for today. So today is December 20th, 2018. We're in this energetic gateway of 1212. And this 1212 is so significant as far as what's happening on the earth with what is shifting into the higher dimensional space through this Christ energy, this Christ consciousness. So for the past several days, I'm talking about like 5 days, I've been receiving messages in the drum loads is how I have to describe this. So I have a conversation that I recorded between myself and Kelly. And before I play the conversation, because I'm doing things a little different today, I usually record live and then I'll play the audio after, but I'm kind of incorporating it so that way I choose to make life simpler where everything is just in one space with me right now and how I'm speaking and whatever messages that I am being guided to share. So I want to work on like summarizing as much stuff. If anyone is not familiar with me, I'm Sharon Andrea. I am doing an audiobook for the planet called The Return of the Garden of Eden. Feel free to check me out at www.thereturnofthegardenofeden.com. I also have my Patreon account that has been just revamped just a little bit. And you can go to Patreon and look for me, Sharon Andrea. I will leave a link somewhere where you can access it. This is where I'm offering certain sessions per month. Like if you like to have like 2 or 3 sessions, if you're on your path and you would like to have more than one session where you're donating monthly. Also, I have been guided where I will be, which I have already been leaving certain segments that I record that's going in the book, but it's more private in a way because there's more stuff that is being channeled that is more private and it's very sacred. And so for those who are on their path, whether it's a twin soul path or ascension path, you can go onto the Patreon account where you can pick whichever tiers. The lowest tier that I have is about $5.55 if you just desire to donate towards the ascension and the awakening on the planet. And then also I have the tier of $11.11, which is where you will have be donating $11.11 per month, and there's the higher tiers, and you will have access from there on to do with any recordings that I've made. In some cases, there are some recordings that I will have out publicly on YouTube or Facebook. Unfortunately, with Instagram, it's not really simple to do that because they make recordings very short. So this would have to be for anyone who is following me on Facebook or YouTube that you'll be able to see the segments. So if I am, like usually whatever I am channeling, it's either what I'm getting on a daily basis or it could be through a dream and it's in conjunction to my path with what I'm experiencing. So everything that I am discussing is based on what I am experiencing. Also, anyone that I'm in connection with, whether it's telephone or instant messaging, etc. and etc. So, and what I do is I collect all the data and I assimilate it and I put it all together. And sometimes I just don't know how it's going to show up or when it's going to show up. But I know that I get messages even through synchronizations, numbers, and pictures and so on. So I just wanted to give that information. And I'm doing sort of an update right now so far from what I have been gathering for the past few days. And some of it is in regards to what's going on through this gateway as we are heading into the winter solstice. The energy of that portal has been open since Monday. And the winter solstice is on the 21st. Plus, we have the full moon in Cancer, which is on December 22nd. And basically, I'm just going to kind of summarize everything as much as possible. And during the end of the time that I'm speaking, I'm going to play a recorded conversation that I had with Kelly. And it's just me speaking. And it's about 16 minutes long. And it's channeled information I was getting while I was driving. And this was on December, right now it's December 20th where I am. So this was on December, I think it was the 19th. It's like everything is just speeding up so rapidly. Speeding up rapidly. So anyway, so I'm changing things up because sometimes it's good to do things differently. And so this is life, how we change things around. So anyway, I wanted to go into what I have been receiving as far as what's going on with the masculine energy and the feminine energy. And one of the things that was shown to me this week, I really don't know which day it was. I do have some of the information that are in some segments. Sometimes some of the information, I may be repeating it again, but I know that whatever I am speaking is in very great detail and it all will come together to make sense. And of course, it's all synchronizing on a daily basis. So anyway, whichever way it came through, this has to do with from what we've gone through for the past year, because we're heading into a new year, and with the full moon in Cancer, it represents where we're starting at a 0 point, which I had mentioned before in one of my previous segments, a 0 point on 0 degrees, and technically 0 point where we're starting over again. And some of us are in stages of creating new beginnings. Some of us are in stages of where we're still on different levels of consciousness and paths, whether it's on the twin soul path and on a different stage, and also, as far as on your ascension path, and what's coming up for you, and how much more changes is happening in your life, and what are you doing for yourself in terms of self-care, self-love, shifting, and alchemy. This is all alchemy that is taking place. So anyway, from what was shown to me is that when we are healing, or have been healing even further within ourselves, starting from the feminine principle is how it starts. And I say it starts from there because she becomes awakened to her soul based on the contact that she's made from either her counterpart, whether it could be a female body that carries masculine energy, or it could be a male body that carries masculine energy. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up, because I figured maybe no one else has maybe brought this up, but I'm being guided to speak about this. And so the feminine, or the female, she works through the parts of herself as far as the Eve, which is what was written in scriptures to do with the submissive female. And so she had to work through, I use the word she, had to work through the principles of the Lilith, bringing in her Lilith and her shadow side. So that's why all the retrogrades that we've been experiencing from Venus, and now Venus is direct in Scorpio. She's back in Scorpio again. And Scorpio deals with things to do with sexuality, and also what are the things that you have deep within you when it comes to your feelings also towards sexuality. And that's in regards to however you've been raised, the programming, what's been passed on from generations to generation, your views on love and sex with marriage as well. And so as she works through to integrate, because you're not getting rid of it because it is within you. It's like I say, I am the person that, I am conscious of how I am when it comes to what I tune into, being receptive. And then I know when it's time for me to take action, and I know when it's time for me to move forward, and when sometimes I got to get gangster up in here. If I got to speak up for myself, and the throat chakra and speaking up, you know what I'm saying? So it's all these different elements of the feminine that's had to come into balance. So what came to my attention, because my path involves two divine masculine, and one is the alpha male and one is the omega. And so I use the word omega, which was given to me by Tracy. Thank you, Tracy. And what happens is there's two different elements of the masculine that has been working and shifting for the past several weeks. And so it's almost like when you say something's coming up to a head. So the omega male, I give you an example, is where we're talking about more like in a passive energy, and it's passive aggressive. I think of the omega male as the ones that it's a much more difficult time when it comes to saying no and standing in their power. They tend to have a little bit more on the feminine energy within themselves, but it's just for it to come into balance. I also tend to feel like as if they may have incarnated more in a female body, and so they chose to incarnate in a male body this time, because a lot of times there are some of us who incarnated in the male body to help to transmute the energies that are so tied into the masculine energy that is very programmed into the patriarchal system. And I can tell you this, the patriarchal system, is breaking down tremendously. It's already started to happen. I already had channeled messages that came through with dying in bloom, what I mentioned before, which that detailed segment is available on my Patreon account, where you can get to witness and hear everything that led up from one thing where even the Eve on the license plate showed up that was validating me speaking about the Garden of Eden and what it means, and the mythical aspect of it, the metaphysical also purpose of it, and what it means for us when it comes to our ascension and awakening. And so when I think of what was shown to me with the Omega male in that respect of what I spoke about, I mean, I'm trying to remember as much as I can. So we have the Alpha male. The Alpha male is like the ones that we think of, those masculine energies that represent like the warrior. And usually most of those males can be quite maybe tall and big in size in some cases, because a lot of the energies that come from the planets is these tall beings, and they're big in stature. And a lot of them have come into a lot more of embodying the patriarchal energy, where there's love that they have, but then there's also control and power, because they knew that, there's an energy of power. And so parts of what I was talking about in my conversation is that I was mentioning the patriarchal system that has been prevalent on the planet for centuries. And it is being reset. There is a reset. It's almost like having something corrupted in your computer, and you have to get it changed, or it has to be reset, or you have to get some type of a virus program to get the virus out of it. And so we're getting a reset within our souls. And so that means everything that has been planted into your system from this lifetime and other lifetimes, society, religion also, okay, all plays a part with all of this. And so the rewrite is also occurring even greater when it comes to the masculine energy, as much as what's been happening with the feminine energy. So I did describe how something happened to me about a week or so ago, where I was driving, and this man in a car, I knew it was a male, was coming down his car, bearing down on me while I was recording. And I'm saying, well, I ain't moving out the way. I'm going to keep on driving. And I'm going to still be at my own pace, staying in my lane, because that's one of my mottos. I stay in my Ross lane. And so when he kept pointing me, thinking I was going to move quickly out of the way, Sharon still stayed in her lane. And so when the vehicle moved over to the left, the license plate, it happened to be Eve. And I was like, wow, this is so interesting. So I said, so that's when I heard Spirit say, well, what do you think it means? And I said, well, I knew it was a male. And I saw the person was a male within whatever second that I was able to see the person. And just that aggressiveness, So, but because Eve was on the license plate, I said, okay, there's a representation of the masculine surrendering to his feminine counterpart, because Eve was the representation of the softer side of the feminine, what we call the softer side, submissive, surrendering. And the next day, the following day, the same thing happened again. Now, what are the chances of that? That another car was blowing me out of the way because they figured I'm moving too slow, whatever. And this time it was an actual energy of the alpha male. And so the license plate on that one said nano. So when I think of nano, I think of Mork and Mindy with nano, and that's like a planetary type of energy. So basically what was shown to me is that the feminine, from all of this to do with the awakening, the feminine energy or the feminine principle started out from her healing herself with self-care and intuition, and then also integrating her Lilith, okay, which is, and remember, even those in the male bodies, everyone has feminine and masculine energy. But what was shown to me is that there's a representation of 4 instead of 3. In other words, you have your Eve, your Lilith, the Alpha and Omega, masculine and feminine energy that completes that circle of the masculine, where there's a balance of the Omega and the Alpha male. And what it does, it completes that circle in and of itself when it comes to the masculine. So it's like everything that's happening with all the planets coming into alignment, it's like as if it's been working its way through the system of ascending from the feminine aspect through her Eve first, then through the Lilith energy and frequency, where it comes into a greater balance, because the Eve frequency, of course, also represents the feminine energy of where is so passive that she subjects herself and dishonors herself, and she's dishonored. And so the Lilith and Eve comes together to bring a greater balance of where you are centering yourself and when it's time to come into that feminine energy and space with your intuition, and also the inner strength that you have as in that feminine energy, and being strong with herself, and what it means. Because it's like I even said to my son, there's a way we could be disciplining and still gentle at the same time. Then when we come into the masculine space now, for those in the male bodies, okay, because it's such an intricate difference between both parts, both aspects of the spectrum, you know, because I don't want to subject it to gender. And so the masculine energy that's in the omega frequency is where you have some of those males that are, again, they're passive, just like the Eve. And, passive, just like the Eve, and doesn't speak up. Usually some of them are caught up in a lot of relationships with females that are dominant over them. There's manipulation. Also, I'm just going to go really break it down because I keep it very real. So all these energies of what is coming through, why I'm mentioning this, because I'm just going to put it out there. If I say masculine and feminine, that I may put it out there in terms of male and female, because most of the relationships that have been spoken on and lived on earth has been based on males and females. But I tell you this, that a lot of that is also changing. So anyway, so now we have that aspect of the omega masculine, that sometimes the omega masculine could be a male who is of a same-sex gender, and they're in a male body, but they have that omega male frequency of being more gentler, but they still like that passive aggressive. And then you have the alpha male that will be more stronger, but they're more in the mental control of things, linear thought, more action oriented, okay? And the physique will be probably more taller, bigger structure. And the omega male may be a slender body build, medium built or something, and maybe tall as well. And so, like I said, I'm on a path where I have two divine masculines, and I've had several dreams of where they have come to me in dreams way before they came into the picture. And I was wondering why I was having dreams of two different males. So when I study the energy that exists on both sides, it's like I heard Spirit say to me yesterday, where I kept seeing 444s, is that it's a quadrant. And so when you are working through the cycle of balancing out yourself, you're not only balancing your Eve and your Lilith, but you're also balancing the alpha and the omega masculine energy. So now I'm going to go into now the relationships and what's changing now, what's happening through this portal that has been open since 1212, as the mirror aspect of 1212 is reflecting itself as 1221, which represents the masculine side. So everything Spirit's telling me that I've been dreaming for the past several days, all these dreams, is so focused on the masculine energy right now. And there has been so much focus on the feminine energy. Now it's just more focus on the masculine energy. And what I hear constantly what's going on is there's a rewrite. There's a rewrite, reset, okay? Because like I said, the 22nd represents with the full moon in Cancer, and connecting deeper into the feminine energy, And that means that it has to do with how you are connecting to yourself when it comes to whether it's your mother, your sister, any female that you've had interactions with, the inner child feminine as well. Because I had a dream that I gave a baby girl to my divine complement, my second divine masculine, the omega masculine. And I knew it represented me helping him to heal, in the dream, helping him to heal the perception that he has had towards females that he has interacted with throughout his life. And these are all females that have been dominant over him, trying to overtake his life. Ironically, well, no irony in this, but no coincidence, that Spirit sent a young man who was just like my divine masculine, the Omega one, that's also in a certain particular situation, without me calling names, where he was being dominated by a female. And I was just getting so much messages coming through from it. And what was also interesting is that his sun sign was in Cancer, just like my divine masculine and my twin. And so I realized that he held a template of the Omega male. And I told him, I said, everything that's happening to you has to do with how you are coming into your own inner power and strength. See? Yes. Your own inner power and strength. And so there were other dreams I had to do with my Omega male where he was coming to me in dreams, even showing me his penis. And there was one dream where it's 1 and another one with 2. And I mentioned one of the dreams to him, and it has to do with the masculine empowerment also. See? And it also represents an aspect of what comes through as a force. And a lot of times what has happened is that there are some males that feel that throughout life they've been demasculated. Okay, where they're not speaking up for themselves. They're so hidden with their feelings and thoughts. They're not connecting to the emotional side to themselves. And so there has been so much programming in how the male should be, or the masculine should be, saying that if he cries too much, oh, you're being a pussy, you're being a sissy, or all these names. Then also how they connect to the female from the relationship that they've had with their mothers or sisters or so on, and how that makes them feel. Then there's also the programming that goes with, when I think about marriages, because one of the things that I was getting through the channel message was, what are the views and thoughts when it comes to love, sex, and marriage, and how you relate to it? Because sometimes people associate love and sex together as the same thing. And what this means, what's being rewritten, is that whatever views that you are having when it comes to sex, where is it coming from? How are you relating to it when it comes to your own personal life and when it comes to your own sexuality? And knowing that the sacred sexuality that is being coming in is not even the same like before, because it's about how you are connecting to that person coming from your heart space, okay? And knowing that whatever you are having enter into your life force, whether you're giving it into someone or receiving it, where is that coming? What is that? How is that coming forward for you when it comes to your own energetic field? You see what I'm saying? And so what had happened in the beginning of time, when, because sometimes when I talk, I'm going to bring in the scriptures, because I bring everything together and piece it all together, so that way we end all of this confusion and all of these different programming and stuff like that, you see? And especially in our certain communities, the stigma that is placed on sexuality has also been something that has been passed on from generation to generation, okay? So from this point on, when I start speaking, I'm going to get very, very real to the point where if you get offended, hey, it is what it is, because I'm here to speak the truth and what is shown to me by Spirit, because I've been receiving so much channeled messages, downloads off the kazooie. And so what was shown to me was that from the beginning of time, the patriarchal system was created in place, and the institution of marriage was created. And it was created as far as how the female was looked at, where she's, to procreate, sex may have been towards procreation, and then the man now is programmed into thinking he must go out there and work and take care of the family. And then what really happens is, I want to break it down to you. Oh, find you a nice girl or a nice guy, get married, get your fake education. And I say fake only in the sense because there's programming in that too. And then you're going to go buy a house to get into debt with the mortgage companies and everything, so you can live happily ever after, have more babies. Then she's tired having more babies, and then he's working hard and he wants to have sex, but she's in no mood to have sex. And so then next thing you know, one person end up cheating on the other, and then there is more pain, and then the child is brought into this world with also having the energy that's coming from both parents when it comes to their own sexuality. Is this what being with someone is all about? Am I supposed to suffer and stay in a marriage that's you're miserable, and stay for the sake because she may have manipulated him into getting pregnant, or because she wanted another man, so she got pregnant through with someone else, so she could plant that on the man that gets more angrier, that goes to another female, and then the cycle just goes on and on and on. And then some will stay in these marriages all the way up until, I'm going to wait till they graduate from college. So it's all these dysfunctional energies that have been prevalent on the planet for so long and been so normalized. And I said, well, wait a minute. When do we pull the brakes on this now and take a stop and see what are the cycles of all of these energy and dysfunctions and views and beliefs surrounding love, sex, and marriage? Okay. And how do you associate love? Is it looked at as dirty and nasty? Are you able to speak openly about masturbation? Has that been a round table talk with your relatives, your parents, whatever? You know what I mean? Or have you been taught, which more likely not, that there's a frequency that comes from this? There's a frequency that comes from masturbation, vaginal sex, anal sex, oral sex, all the taboos, all the things that have been considered to be taboo because what? The patriarchal system was created to descend the consciousness and the information of what the truth is when it comes to connecting to your higher self and the power that you have when it comes to all of the sacred sexual energy that comes from within you, but it only comes from within you when you clear out all the belief systems that you have attached to it in connection to yourself and also the person that you're connected to. And so it's a lot of stuff. And I did 2 sacred sexuality videos already. That's on my YouTube channel. Feel free to check it out if you haven't. Sharon, Andrea. And you can just, tag my name, Sharon Andrea, Sacred Sexuality, because it's not just about, where, everything that has been in the past, you just jump bones and make babies. Because in some religious cultures, it's all about making babies and that's it. And there's something that comes through from the feminine energy when it comes to creation and what it means when we're connecting and releasing ourselves from all those belief systems that you have been attached to from your, from you were younger, or perhaps maybe what you've seen. Also, let's not forget the plastic stuff, the dildos and all these, because all those things was created so that way there's no connection, you see? And so it's not about where it's all about just your sexual organs, because those who are on the twin soul path, what's changing and what's really happening here is that we're connecting energetically with a merge, because eventually we're going to be engaging in merges, what you call sacred sex, okay? And it's an energy. And when that energy comes together from, and it's not necessarily subjected to 2 people either. Yes, it could be from masculine and feminine energy. It could also be from, when I say could be from, what I mean is that there's the masculine and feminine energy that creates the third energy. It creates the third energy. That third energy is what's coming prevalent on the planet right now. They're showing it to me that it's been coming through into the new year coming in. And there's going to be something called that honeymoon phase. And so what had happened in the beginning, which I spoke over this because I got this, is that when the alpha male is what was shown to me, turned away from the feminine principle, there was something created where, you can go and have this power with someone else, and not who you're connected to, because there was something of a need to want to be in control. And so that's where all the religion stuff was created as well. So that way there's fear and dogma surrounding the feminine energy, called, that she's this and that, and she's creating magic and, and the devil and the voodoo names, all of the rigmarole things, all of that stuff. Okay. So all of that stuff, more again, coming into a dissension in consciousness and a dissension of what the feminine energy meant for the planet to keep things alive. Okay. So now, as things started to progress, of course, then there was that time with the fall of Atlantis. Okay. what they call the Great Flood. And so that time in history was when, again, they said that some of the masculines turned to other people and all the mix-up things and experimenting with animals and all these different things, okay? And then that's when things started to descend on the earth, you know, from drop to fall, you know, they call it fall from grace. And it's not nothing in intention to say anybody's doing anything bad, because we desire to know ourselves by creating all these different things so we can come back into knowing ourselves, okay? So as time went on, the element of the institution of marriage was created in order to shift away the true meaning of having this inner power that is existing within you. And so that's why things started to change with the dissension in consciousness. And that dissension in consciousness led to more things being in a controlled mechanism throughout centuries, and things going into separation consciousness as well. And that separation consciousness is what allowed us to create all the energy that comes through from twin souls. And now it's like we're reversing the cycle again. And again, it comes down to the view of marriages, love, and sex. And so the views that have been placed on certain things to do with sex is what is getting a rewrite when it comes to the masculine. That includes the sexual organs, the thoughts when it comes to the female and how she's viewed. So your root chakra is getting also uprooted. So you might be feeling things in your solar plexus, okay? There's also things doing shifting with the views on homosexuality and heterosexuality, and how it has been placed as a taboo, and also as a sin, and it is demonic. You know, almost everything they call it female, the feminine demonic, and the homosexual demonic. And I tell you this, there's going to be so much of an even greater awakening when there is going to be a greater realization of knowing that there are specific binary DNA codes that are coming through from the planet Sirius and the Pleiades when it comes to sexuality, because it's not about the physical body. It's not about the physical body. It is about the energy that it carries for the changes that are coming to the planet. And what was shown to me is that by the time towards the end of this month, yes, I do readings, honey. By the time of the end of this month, there's going to be so much more dramatic changes that are going to be happening as far as more people awakening. It's going to be quite shocking. I told my friend Monique today, I said, boy, the way how I see all these changes coming, that people, things that people what people don't want to talk about, that they figure to be taboo, is going to be so much that it remind me of Austin Powers when they came, the fembots came to seduce him. And when he turned the tables and he started to touch himself, they started to explode. So, hey, when Sharon started talking about this, oh, well, wakey, wakey. Okay, and so this has to do again with how much is being rewritten. You can inbox me, honey, on my email. I'll give you my email address when I'm done. And this has to do with even the views, because I had I'm going to share this dream with you, because it's going to be put on my Patreon page. It's kind of private, but Spirit is just guiding me to just talk about it, because you can't make this shit up. Okay. Anyway, I had something that was sent to me by a friend of mine, and it was sort of supposed to have been a joke and like, oh, you know, what's this? And it had to do with chocolate, where you put the chocolate in your ass and you make chocolate and give it to your loved one, and they call it, if you want your loved one to eat your ass. And I'm like, what the heck? I was like, Lord of mercy. So anyway, I went to a seminar, like a little mini seminar on Saturday. This was on Friday night that I got that message, right? So I didn't even open up yet, because I'm there dreaming and sleeping, looking at it, and then I'm there cracking jokes with myself, because I don't allow myself to be all hissy fit over things. When Spirit brings things to me, I pay attention, because you know why? More stuff is coming in. More stuff to eradicate, more stuff to talk about, more stuff to get to the truth and to the matter of things. You see what I say? So anyway, so me now with myself parking my vehicle when I went to Jersey to go to the seminar, and the topic was the 5 love languages. So I was invited to speak as well. And I pull up in this car, and the license plate in the car said truffles. So I said, oh, that's interesting. So I'm minding my business, get my bag ready to come out the car. And I heard Spirit say, well, you better pay attention to the name. And I'm like, well, why? They said, pay attention. And I was like, okay, innocently. I'm like, okay. So I decided to Google it right there, because usually I wait till I get home. But Spirit said, no, look at it now. And when I look it up in Google, the first thing that popped up was truffle butter. So when I saw truffle butter and I saw what truffle, I was like, ew. So when I looked it up and when it described truffle butter from the acid of vagina, I was like, Lord have mercy. I was like, what in the world does this mean? So anyway, I went into more details in the segment that I did, because I don't want to put out too much of my own personal business. But just tell you this, that anything that we feel we may not understand or know where it's coming from, this because it was something within me, not because I was taught, but it was within my soul from centuries, because of the stigma, the religion, the programming, all of that stuff. Okay. So now the next thing that happened when I look it up now with the truffle, I start thinking about the song, because I love my hip hop, I love my reggae, my calypso, everything. And so I just thought of Nicki Minaj with with truffle butter. And I was like, whoa, all this time I'm there dancing to it, I didn't even know that's what it meant. And I love, that song too, right? So anyway, I was like, and I actually sat in the car for 45 minutes trying to absorb all of this. Okay, so that was Saturday. Now here comes Monday. This was on the 17th. I had another powerful dream. And that dream took me into this tall building, very tall building. And before that happened, I was laying on my bed, and I just heard, and I woke up before I had the dream, I woke up at exactly 10:10 to see 10:10 on the clock, 10:10 a.m. Normally I'm sleeping at 10:10 a.m. because I go to bed like really late in the morning, doing readings or whatever. And so I woke up, I saw 10:10, and then I was like, oh, it's too early. I said, let me just go back and rest. And before I went to bed, I was sleeping on my right side, and I felt this whole energy of like a masculine energy just came right into my body. Like I felt like it just was just whoops right in from head to toe. And it was a tall, big figure, and it wasn't negative. And so I heard in my thoughts, my soul said, the merge is happening. And I'm there like having conversation with my higher self, and it's like I was hearing the merge has happened with my masculine, my divine masculine, the two of them. Because for weeks I've been hearing everything to do with the two of them. And then next thing you know, I went into a trance and sleep. And then I ended up in this tall building. And it was a beautiful building. And it was like, whew, when I say very tall, it was all this water that was coming in. And then this young girl took me into, it looked like a pool, but it was like indoor, but it wasn't a pool. And I went into the water. And when I went into the water, it was nice and warm. And it's like I was actually feeling the essence of the water in my body. And so as I felt the essence of the water in my body, I got out, and I was in my clothes. I wasn't even in any, like in shorts or something like that. So I came out, and I'm there saying to myself, well, where am I, And I knew I was not on planet Earth. And as I proceeded to walk, I then saw a female. She was a black female, and her name I called in the dream, and she happens to be someone that I know. And she was, but it wasn't her as who she is. It was her bigger, taller aspect of herself that was a representation of the Black Mother God. And so I said hi to her, and she walked down the stairs. And as I walked to go to another area of the building, I heard myself saying, oh, I'm in the Palladians. So I was actually, because I'm connected to the Palladians, and I'm connected to the planet Sirius. As anyone knows, I say I'm the reincarnation of Queen Nefertiti. So I speak in tongues, and I speak in ancient languages, and that's why I get all this data, all this information. So it's like I was on another grid, and I was back on the motherboard ship when I think about it, okay? And so I saw myself now in the dream in and of itself like I was in Star Trek, because then this other being stood next to me, and it was like an archetype angel, like a hierarchy angel. And he was like in a gray suit, but then it's like he was telling me that he was not male or female. He was androgynous. And I know and I remembered myself being androgynous. And so he then says to me, oh, you're being prepared and the merge is complete. And he said, just remember that, he said, just remember that this is why he's going to be douching from his ass. So then I started to laugh to myself in the dream like, dang, why is everything coming up to do with the ass? So I kind of laugh because since today and yesterday is like another female, she posted something to do with her ass and saying it's her ass because people were trying to say, oh, if you're showing your ass, you're not spiritual. No, that is a bunch of programming bullshit, okay? Because the ass is a part of the body. The body shaming and the body guilt and the guilt and shame towards sex and the body is also eradicating, okay? And I love when Spirit sends me jokes because sometimes you just got to lighten the fuck up. And so she's showing her ass and the person is there chastising her, saying that, oh, she thought that she was a different person. They must have got to her. Like somebody snatched her from off a planet because she's showing her ass. I mean, come on now. So she said, you know what? I'm going to keep showing my ass. And I said, good for her, because I would do the same thing. You see? Because there has been so much body shaming around the female body. You know, there's been so much body shaming and stigma towards sex, sexuality. Just to say the word vagina, penis. There is power that comes with all of your body. All of it. Okay? And there's a reason why the Creator created you for all of this. And so what Spirit showed to me is that the views that have been placed on homosexuality, that I already talked about in the book, to do with Sodom and Gomorrah, the real meaning towards it. I don't remember it, but I looked up to it. And the thing about it is that what's going to happen is that now I'm a heterosexual, meaning that I'm attracted to males. I'm attracted to young males. And I found myself during the course of my awakening, full-blown awakening is what I call it, because I've been awakened since I was 3 and 3 years young. And I found myself attracted to a female. And I said, wow, you know, when things happen to me strange, I said, wow, what does this mean, Spirit? Can you explain to me? And always the answer I get, what is my feelings telling me? Because you see, that's what we're returning to, is what is coming from your heart? What do you know to be true? Because if you're holding on to the dogma and the dogmatic stuff, you can't connect to this type of truth. You know what I mean? And it's about releasing what you think you know or may not remember about what it means to come back into this space of sacred sexuality, true love, returning to true love. And so with twin souls, those in twin soul path, is, are you able to remind yourself of what this path means to you when it comes to your own sexuality? And are you able to be open and intimate with yourself about it? What it means for you, like, I was watching Mike. Hey, Mike, if you're watching this, when he was talking, it's so funny. I didn't even realize Venus is in, you know, I did remember Venus is in Scorpio in direct now. You know, it's like she's just not letting up. We're getting to the bottom of this. You know what I mean? And that includes getting to the bottom of the blocks towards true love. Because the true and the highest essence of getting to, as one to say, getting to God or connecting to source energy, whatever name you want to call it, is through sacred sexuality. Sacred sexuality. Are you able to get past the boundaries and the blocks that you've placed on true love? Are you able to get past the blocks and the barriers that you've placed on yourself when it comes to your body and your body parts? You know, touching yourself, feeling into yourself and how you connect to that person that you're connected to. Do you see what I'm saying? Well, that's interesting. Your Venus is in Scorpio, so you're going through some absolute wonderful rewrites in itself, especially when it was in retrograde. You know what I mean? And you know, the great thing about it is that if you're, and when you're able to really identify where the blocks come in, because the dream in and of itself that I had, that I just shared with you, was a time that I was remembering of myself being in a male body, having a homosexual or same-sex relationship with one of my divine masculine. And then I realized that there was some shame that was coming up that I was picking up on in my subconscious mind that's connected to them. See? And then I had several dreams again this week. I mean, I've been just having dreams back to back, and I just go into detail with it. And it was centered around where they're from, the country, because I'm from the West Indies. I'm from Jamaica, and they're from Guyana. And the link to Guyana and Gaia. And I was contacted by someone who had a dream about me, and it had to do with Guyanese. And then I got more downloads from the dream that I had the next day to do with them, and it was connected to religion. You see? And how it's so deep rooted on earth. And we're here to uproot the programming that is tied to religion. See? And so it's not about, not what you believe or not believe in. This has to do with the truth, because the truth shall set us free. You see? And it's about becoming lighter, because even what we call the Christmas, and I grew up in all the churches. I've been to all the churches. And what it means as far as this Christed energy and this consciousness. And everything that's coming through from Sirius and the Palladians is everything that is coming through from the higher power. See? The higher power. Because what was shown to me is that they were making me know not only that they got my back, but I was home. I was motherfucking home. I'm saying it just like that. I was home. They are my yard. Another yard. Okay? And that is that I knew and remember where I came from. In the Palladians, if you look it up, the Palladians represent a higher love. And that means that I'm in love with two people at the same time. And it doesn't mean that one is more than the other. It has to do, and it has nothing to do with what had been twisted to do with polygamy. Oh, you have control over this female and control over this male, and you have all these wives and all that stuff. No. This is where we're coming back to the purest state of love and letting go of all the dogma, all of the programming surrounding love. And that includes that we release the blocks that have existed throughout generations when it comes to, whether or not it's same sex, if it's of a different color, different race, age differences, okay, or whether if there's religious barriers and all that stuff. You see what I'm saying? And it's all these different dogmatic things that are being released and eradicated and pulled out greater and greater now. You see what I'm saying? To a greater capacity, whether you like it or not. So what Spirit showed me is that, okay, now Sharon, where are you going to take this now with what you got from the dream on the 17th, and today is the 20th, and what it means in terms of the parts to do with the vaginal, the anal, the breasts, the feet, the oral sex. You know, people have stigma when it comes to oral sex, and this has to do with the points of the body in how we are connecting to who we are connected to, and the energy and the frequency that comes to it, because this has never been done before. It has never been planted and embodied on earth. See? And so it's a matter of connecting to what is within your soul memory, and what your soul, I like to say, your soul desire. I don't want to say soul mission, because every time I think, because that's another thing that's also eradicating is the working thing, because that was also put in place by the patriarchal system, so that way you stay away from love and you keep catering to others and wanting to save, because that's another programming that's tied to marriages, religion, and all that stuff. You work hard, so you stay away further from each other, where there's non-communication or barely any communication. And there's more deception and manipulation that's going on, and the neediness, and I need to hear from you, and I need to be with you, and the instigations and all the proclamation, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? All these things is being eradicated. Okay? That's been passed on from generations to generations. The biggest block to your sacred unions. And remember now, when I say sacred unions, I'm talking the inner just as much as well as the physical. And it is religion. That is the theme that has been shown to me from Spirit. You see, Spirit who? Source energy. That's the biggest thing. A rewrite. And, you know, early yesterday morning, I had the most awesome visitation. And I'm choosing to share this because I don't have anything to hide. By Whitney Houston. And I'm playing a little bit of her music. I didn't even know she was playing now on my iPod. But I just like to play music to also shift the energy. And so she came through to me, and it's not the first time because I've channeled Whitney and many, many, many other celebrities. Because as far as she's concerned, she's so much to do with love. And so I remember when my twin soul and I were in communication. And I told him that I sing. And he said, well, why don't you sing a song for me? And I didn't know what to sing. And my mom came through and guided me to sing, I Will Always Love You. And so I sang it to him, and he said, no one has ever sang to me like that before. And I also sang the same song to my divine complement as well. And it's like something hit me to the deepest part of my core. And it's like I felt like, yeah, I know, but you know, I have my ways of getting around it. the music. And I was able to release something that had been within me for so long. And it's the blocks that we have, you know, when it comes to love. And sometimes we may think that, yeah, I miss her too. Sometimes we may think that these blocks that we have is necessarily tied to other people and, you know, and I say, yes, it is tied to other people and also within ourselves. But there comes a time where we are now able to let go of having to feel that if anyone else is projecting their thoughts onto you or their own beliefs, that is not only coming from you, but is that we're here to shift things in a magnanimous way. And you see, people are afraid of change and they're afraid of what's coming or what's happening because everyone is feeling something, the unknown and the changes that are happening. And we are templating everything new that is being represented on earth in the physical form, in the physical space. You see? And so the masculine is at a place now of surrendering to the feminine energy. And they're feeling what their feminine counterparts are feeling. It's like I bawled and 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 I bawled. And I knew, because the full moon is in Cancer, I always feel it ahead of time. I knew that that was something that was coming from him. And it's like being back online on a different grid. And when you're on this different grid in the higher dimensional consciousness, all that lower vibrational energy doesn't affect you anymore. So, you know, and truly all of this has to do with how much are you really working to come back to your own inner power. And that inner power that you have within you and your counterpart has that same inner power. And when it comes together, they showed it to me like at least with me, it's like a meteor. It's like a meteor, and it's like a ball, and one male is on one side, I'm here, and then the other male, and it's like a ball of fire. See, it's like a ball of fire, and that ball of fire, as it's here in the physical space, it becomes powerful. See, and so as you continue to illuminate yourself and illuminate what is in the dark and in the shadow, see. It is eradicating all of the programming that has existed throughout lifetimes. You see, and the meaning of the holidays is also changing, because even other people I talked to, they said it doesn't feel the same. Each year I feel different. Now, I look at this as a magical time. This is the first year I don't have nothing connected to Christmas. Like my whole being and everything is not even, no thoughts on the word Christmas. But I'm definitely tuning into the Christ consciousness. I'm tuning into the magic that we're bringing on earth, what we've been waiting for. Because I already tell Spirit, now I'm going to speak Patois now, and I'll reinterpret it again. I tell Spirit, so I don't need to speed this up a little bit more now, because I'm bored. And I say it in a loving, laughing way, but I really mean it. Because I get all these visions of what the new earth means, and it means that we're in our freedom. True freedom. Free to love and free to be ourselves. You see? And that means that as you are ascending and you're letting go and releasing all the dogma, all the blocks and everything that has stopped you. And I say what has stopped you because it comes from what you've been taught, and it comes from the lineage as well. You see? And it's not about just what you know and what you feel you speak, but now it's about walking it. Are you in fear of your path still? Are you in fear of yourself and your connection to your true love and what true love means for you? The love that you have for yourself, how you're connecting to yourself individually and creating those boundaries, your understanding and your view about love, and how do you relate to it when it comes to sex? That do you feel dependent on and thinking that love is and when you have sex that it means that's love for you? Or do you feel that sex is something that's sacred, or do you feel that it's something that it's just for your own gratification? Because I tell you this, that the views and all of the programming that has existed when it comes to sexuality and or if it's just for procreation and oh, she got to cover up herself because, all of that stuff is because it was to diminish and to disintegrate the feminine energy. You see? The feminine energy. And when that happened, that means everything started to descend in consciousness. Even it was shown to me, even to do with the Tower of Babel was really a representation of the misunderstandings of people that were in different levels of consciousness. It wasn't to do with whether somebody spoke English or French or Spanish or all the other languages. No, it had to do with the difference and the separation of others when it comes to the level of consciousness. See? Consciousness. Where is your consciousness when it comes to love? Where is your consciousness when it comes to sex? Where is your consciousness when it comes to marriages? And the power that has been placed in marriages based on what commitment was told to you, what it should be, and feeling like you're in jail or you're in prison and you can't be free because you have a child for someone, or because she got pregnant and you got to stay with her, or because you want to use him for his money, or because he has a house. It's all these different programming things, like, oh, for status quo, or even in our African continent, oh, you have 12 bulls and 10 cows and the dowry and what all these different programming. Even the female body, I'm gonna get more graphic now, where things had come into place from the religion to do with circumcision or what's clean and unclean, and the female clitoris that is taken off in so many of our African countries. So female, why do you think that happened? Because they know that there's a different level of consciousness that's connected to that. So therefore, the more you diminish the feminine energy, and for her not to feel her own connection to that sacredness and the sexual energy that comes with her clitoris, that's in connection to the sexual energy that comes from her, in connection to her. What come on. I say use common sense. Why they did that? Because they wanted to diminish the true essence of connecting to your true love and what it means for bringing that consciousness on the planet. Greetings, Kelly. So I had to talk about this. All these programming, all these religions that cover up yourself because they didn't want the energy and the essence of the feminine to be shown and to be brought forth. The twisted notion about the breasts, you know, and the ass and covers, because again, it's descending the consciousness, you see? Well, the video is about to end and I didn't get to play. So I'm going to probably go into part 2 because it's going to end now, because I think Instagram is telling me I've been on here long enough. See, I ended up speaking longer than I anticipated. So I'm going to play the conversation that I had. I am giving messages through this 1212 portal, and I am discussing and giving information that is a reflection of all these shifts and codes that are coming through to do with the views when it comes to sexuality, love, sex, marriage. Venus is in Scorpio right now, and this has to do with how all of the rewrite is taking place with the divine masculine, and what it means for the planet, what it means for us, what it means for us when it comes to our divine unions and coming into that sacred union space, which means that you're releasing and letting go of the dogma and the programming that has existed on the planet, especially when it comes to sexuality, especially when it comes to that. So I'm going to play the conversation that I may just go in deeper. So if there's a part 2, then there's a part 2. And so that's what I'm going to play right now. So that way I can discuss any further in case I left anything out I don't want to forget.
I'm going to forward to you, Kelly, something I wrote to Tavon real quick, because even based on because I'm going in the car with my son, so I can't really talk about this too loud, but I just feel based on whatever energy I was picking up on your dream, it's all rewrite going on to do with sexuality and sex, you know, all the dildos and fake things, and how men had been towards sex when it comes to females and sexuality. It's a whole rewriting that's going on with them right now. That's why all the topics around sex is going on right now, to do with a lot of twins. We're shifting through that energy in the collective. That's what it feels like. The dream I had and the dream you had, you know, things Taron is processing also through it with his divine partner. You know, what I was going to do with Colin. You know, I've had dreams of him coming to me and showing me his penis, and when it was 1 and 2 and all that stuff, and you know, it's like him showing me that he's coming into his true power also, that everything that has been used as manipulation around sex is being eradicated, that it's not to be used for gratification and trying to have power over someone, but it has to do with coming in with new codes of what divine love is and the sacredness surrounding it, that their sexual organs is not for, you know, for the things that have been created on earth for what it has been used for, you see? Because people think that using their pussy and using their penis is for their own gratification, and about just, oh, well, I haven't had sex in how long, so I need to. That's why so many are really not really being turned on by having sex with other people, because what happens is everything that happened with people surrounding sex is that, oh, you can go have it with someone else because you can create the same power. But that's not true, because all of that was programmed, put in place to keep the twin souls away from each other and not creating that third energy that came with the pure light. So that's why some of the masculine had turned away from their feminine counterparts, thinking they can create that magic with the karmic partners. And those same karmic partners are the ones that are here now. And if, you know, and I know that the karmic partners are here for a reason, for them to come into their own power. But the thing about it is that there's still something for us to understand, that if we also feel that it's okay for them to, you know, for it to exist because, oh, let them be, because they're you know, they're married, and, you know, and we're not going to interfere with their marriage. But if it's not real, if it's not the highest and best, and we have to think about that, those lower energies want you to think that, oh no, don't interfere, oh no, don't say anything. No, we're to stay strong in our knowing about being on this path, because it's these energies that come from people that don't want for twin souls to come together because of the changes that are coming. Big radical changes. So that's why when I know these little energies come in and say, oh no, it's just with one person, oh no, it's not really, and all of that is just to try to stop the power that's coming. You see? And it's not happening with me. Oh hell fucking no. And that's why I trust my higher self when it comes to the information. And if these relationships are not the highest and best, because, you know, and when they want to bring on the element of them having more children with other people and creating that chaos again, it's all these things being eradicated. Gotta read and see between the lines, you see? Gotta read and see between the lines, because that's what happened in the beginning of time when the counterparts turned away from their feminine power, and the energy could not be sustained on Earth. You see? It couldn't. It couldn't. And then that's when a lot of things went into separation, see? And things became multiplied. And even it was shown to me also another meaning to the Tower of Babel was an indication of when people were ascending during the time when they tried the ascension back in the Mayan time frame and all the other time frames as the other, you know, like the Buddha, the Krishna, Christ, you know, Jesus, you know, when they were on the earth and they tried to, but it wasn't that many people, just like what Tavon said, that were aligning with that light. And so what happens is, as different people were different, they couldn't understand what was going on with others, and they became confused. So Spirit was telling me on my way down here, tell people that the languages that were becoming confused is not the language from, you know, like I speak English and this person speaks Spanish and this one speaks French. It's more the frequency. They couldn't understand the frequency that was coming forth from different people where they were in consciousness. And so that's why people were confused. It's just like how I hear people saying, but how come she says this from scriptures, but then at the same time she's not saying God? She's not doing this, but then she goes back, and they're confused because they're choosing not to let go of the old programming, you see? And that's where people feel confused. But this time around, everybody is getting energy flowing through them, whether they like it or not. And it's happening for them to shift because it's no more holding back or, oh, one more chance or, you know, no, because I already asked Spirit, well, what's going to happen to those people who just don't shift at all? And I heard Spirit say, well, in some cases they may shift at the last minute, and then some of them will just be absorbed back to the Godhead. Some are choosing, you know, whether they shift or not, to go back to the Godhead, where they're desiring to not be in an individual aspect of themselves, that they prefer, they love God so much. And it doesn't mean that those who don't, that they just prefer to go back to the Godhead and be absorbed by the Godhead. Okay? So I was hearing that also. So there's just different choices that are being made right now, you know? And some are not able to hold on to these energies and shift while they're in the physical body. Some of them are just choosing to ascend out of their body. You see what I'm saying? And I just feel like as if there's just going to be so many transitions that are going to be happening in the drum loads within the next 2 years. And it's just coming in rapidly, rapidly, rapidly. So that's what I know. That's all I know. And you know what? I'm okay with it because, you see, I choose to see heaven on earth. I choose to experience it and to see how things are transforming, because this has never been done on earth before. And so I feel like the final stage that's happening through the 12 portal, which we're towards the 1221, that's why there's so much focus on the masculine. I mean, I was in the place that the pain was just radiating up into my right leg, and I know it's coming from my divine masculine. And all it has to do with it has to do with them coming forward, just making a movement. And because feet and leg, that represents movement, you see. And when you think about penis, that represents power, because that is the part that starts things off when it comes to that life force, because something has to be taken in action. But it's taken in action with love, with pure love, and not the corruptedness. You know, it's like when I said before that, you know, Yeshua said, if the left eye offends you, cut it off. Anything that you know is not good for you, cut it off, because is it worth it for you to to try to save anyone else that's not choosing to heal, and then you're still staying and feeling sorry for them, and then you're not able to propel forward because of this. Because this is like we're going through delicate surgery. You know what I'm saying? And all it takes is just one little person to say something, and then the whole fucking thing just starts to collapse again. You know, and it's not about being in fear of it. It's just being in your power with this, like really steadfast power, more power than you've ever had before in what the truth is for you. And so one of the things that has been the downfall of mankind that has been so chaotic has been through sex. It has been all through sex. The thoughts around sex, the conversations around sex, the view of what sex means for a person and who they are, how they identify with it from childhood to adulthood. How is it that some families can't even talk about it with their children so that way they can have healthier relationships, you know? They don't want to talk about masturbation. They don't talk about and discuss about what their view is when it comes to another female or a female to a male, you know? Or whether it is someone of the same sex and love that they have. So all these things are just being dismantled right now. All of it being dismantled. Or do they view that, oh, if I have sex with a woman, I'm not going to perform anything else but just penetration and that's it. You know, or the females, well, I'm just going to have sex because I want to get his money. You know, all these things are just being out. All the views and the perception have been placed on males and how they feel about females when it comes to their body and sex. Females and how they view, the male body and sex. All of these things. What is the energy that's placed within that person when they're creating a child or creating something? We're not creating those energies anymore. We're just having sex, and there's no connection there. You see? So everything I'm seeing, because I have the ability to see when someone is connected to someone and what is happening in their lower chakra and the solar plexus. And a lot of this stuff is coming out through the root chakra. And so that's the reason why for some the telepathy is coming online even more, because we're working through the base of this energy, what's been rooted in the earth, and it is now coming out. You see, it's coming out, it's coming out, it's coming out. So that's why some females might be feeling more cramping, having more cycles than ever. You know, and even if you don't have a cycle, you're still feeling it in your solar plexus. You could feel the activity that's taking place and what's coming out. And it's coming out and coming through the heart where it's being reset. This is just like, that's what I'm hearing. There's a reset happening right now with the masculine and surrendering to the change. You see? That's what it is. It's almost like waking up from a deep fog and a deep sleep, and they're having to go internal more than anything else when it comes to themselves and their own views about their own sexuality and what does it mean for them as far as this sexuality and it being redefined. What are their ties to sexuality in connection to their mother? What are the ties to their sexuality in terms of their father? You know, changing how sex has been put on earth with people who choose to want to force themselves onto someone and they're violating their body. You know what I mean? And it's because there's a root cause of it where it comes from, because again of what is their association when it comes to sex and love? What is love to them? What is sex to them? You know, how do they associate it together? Because love and sex are two different things. Because it's the association of sex in saying that, oh, well, if I love her, I'm just going to have sex with her. And, oh, I just want to feel good. And then for her, do you tie your emotions to sex? That if he doesn't say he loves you after you have sex, and then how do you feel? So it's all these different rewriting is what Spirit is showing me to do around marriages, relationships, sex, different types of sex, the sexual positions, the sexual frequency of everything to do with all parts of the body and all the different points of the body, and where it has been placed within people, and what they've been taught and what they've not been taught, what they're in fear of when it comes to sex, and what they're in fear of when it comes to the different types of sex, and understanding the truer meaning of this instead of what has been put out there as dogma and fear. and just so much misunderstandings with it, you know what I mean? So all of this is what I'm hearing right now while I'm driving. Yeah, all of this. And I'm feeling like as if this rewrite is coming through them, because the patriarchal system, of course, is what had created these feelings and stuff surrounding love, sex, and marriage. You know what I mean? And feeling like the wife, you know, they put it in the Bible, the wife must be submissive to the husband and she must give up herself. You know, all that kind of stuff of degrading the feminine principle, that it's about honoring her with her body, honoring her vagina, honoring what it means to enter into her gates, and what it means connecting to this third energy and to source coming into that vessel, because it's not just about just sleeping with her and fucking her. It's about really connecting from the heart. Otherwise, you're going to miss the mark again. You see? So all of this is, and then of course there's a different type of energy that comes from those that are of the same sex as well. And you know, it's about understanding what it means, because most people didn't want to hear it, and it wasn't written in history because they wanted to demasculate the true meaning of love. What does love mean? What does it mean for this person? What does it mean for your soul and not just your physical body? Because it's only been looked at from the physical sense and not from the heart. You know, what are the feelings that come with, you know, with you and the connection that you have to that person going beyond the physical. So that's the download and what I'm hearing. So it makes a lot of sense, lots of sense, and all of this has to be out through this gateway. You know, because when 1221 comes in, it's like they're telling me that the full moon in Cancer is like where it's at a 0 point. And that 0 point energy is where everything is starting new again. It's a new energy. It's a new template that is being placed. And that's why all this rewrite. So there might be bouts of anger coming from the masculine energy, and depression and sadness, frustration. All these things are the same time. It's a part of the process of what has to be released. It's a part of the process of what has to be released when it comes to the masculine and how they process through things. So we have to just allow them to work through it, work through their fears, also forgiveness, and also letting go of them having to work through how they have felt towards the feminine, in how they have treated the feminine. And it's not just the feminine in terms of who he's connected to, but just all the and any energy that they, from the experiences that they've had to all females, or that feminine energy, or whether it's in the male body and, you know, they have that feminine energy. It's that whole energy that they are now having to look at and connect to, and they're starting to feel, because they are connected to the feminine energy, where it's not blocked anymore. All those blocks are being removed. They're having to open up their heart chakra even wider. Their root chakra is being uprooted and shifted, you see, and being reconnected back. It's like the computer restarting again when it comes to this type of love. It's restarting again when it comes to these partnerships. It's restarting again when it comes to connecting from the heart to the sexual organs, and not from the sexual organs only, you know. And that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. So that is the download for today. This is what's happening in this vortex right now, 1221. Yeah.
So that is the channel message that I got yesterday or day before. So I wanted to add something, because I was asking Spirit, okay, what did I leave out? What is there for me to talk about? Eventually, I am going to do a separate video specifically for twin flames, because there are some who are just awakening to their path. And just know that it's not a set formula for every person. Whatever is happening in your with your experiences and what's being shown to you is very important to pay attention more than ever to the signs that are being shown to you, including your dream state and all of that stuff. So some of you may end up connecting to someone who may be like a catalyst in your life. And I don't use the word false twin and true twins, because then that's like as if you're saying you're false, okay? And sometimes Spirit is going to sense, which is in your soul contract and your soul agreement, where The person comes in to help you to shift when it comes to your thoughts, when it comes to relationship, what's happened in terms of all your relationships that you've had before. Pay attention to everything that shows up from the relationships that you've had in this lifetime, as well as, let me see, what's the word I'm looking for? Relationships that you've had in this lifetime, and in terms of how it has triggered you, okay? Because 99.99, that person is an aspect and showing what you've experienced with your twin soul in the past, and that it's mirroring between you and your twin through that person. So you will know what blocks are showing up. So if there's a fear of intimacy, or if there's a fear of being in love, or even receiving love, because even another thing that I received as a message from the divine, through the divine masculine energy in the subconsciousness is, as a matter of fact, I got this from the two different aspects of my, like the Omega, with him was more of, I would say, like accepting love regardless of how it's showing up, because he deserved. There are some masculines who are afraid of the love that they're receiving, because of how they've been used to the type of females that they've attracted in their lives, and comparing that person to their feminine counterpart. And so, because you see, the love that shows up within yourself and your counterpart is the love of God. It's the love of source that's showing up. It's not the physical body only. It's about the energy. It's about the energy. And so when you receive this type of love and where it takes you, it's beyond the sexual organs. See? It has nothing to do with the thing of the sexual organs. It's about everything that you're filling up with light and love through your entire body. Having full body sacred sexual orgasm. I've had the experience of having full body sacred sexual orgasm more than 3 times, with or without my counterparts in my physical space. Okay? And I've had where one was in the physical space, the other was not. So all of that is also being in this rewrite, because the way how sex was that you experience it and it's just in the lower chakras and the organ of this. Okay? So this is also something that's going to be experienced on the new earth with these changes when it comes to sacred sexuality. Okay? And as a matter of fact, the information that came through to me was the balancing of Shakti and Shiva. Okay? I do recommend, which I said this in my other segments, to get this book, The Power of Shakti, for both males and females. And this book, I already recorded some of the information, what I received on my own, and also in conjunction to what is said in this book when it comes to how we are, like, truly what it shows me is cleansing and purifying your soul of all of the dogma surrounding sex, because we are sexual beings, and the sexual energy is what keeps us alive, in joy, and things start to come in abundance on the planet. It is not about only going out there to physically work yourself to death. That's what it is. And that's the only way to manifest. This is about the power that comes from the twin souls, whichever your template is, when they unite with that third energy. That third energy is what comes into that space of what's being created. We are coming back into magic, the true magic of this consciousness, right? And everything that comes through the elements of this consciousness, as it is flowing through the cells of your body, and you're in connection with your counterpart, when it comes together with that third energy, you will start manifesting things magically in your life without doing anything. So it's about being this light, being who you are authentically, not being afraid to walk your path, acknowledge your path, the acknowledgement of self, the honoring of self, the power within, and not just the power out, where before in the patriarchy it says power over another. What power are you placing with your vagina? What power are you trying to place with your penis? Because I'm telling you that that's not at all. And many of you probably are not even having as many of an excitement when it comes to gender. You might feel the excitement, but it's not just down here, it's the whole body. You're probably getting a rewrite where you're not feeling like you're attracted to anyone else but who you're connected to. Okay? Or even if you are still participating in the physical gratification, really ask yourself, how does it make you feel after? Is it the same anymore? Or is it not? Does it really feel the same, or do you feel turned off? Or you still feel that, well, I'll get through it because, you know, I'm used to always having it, you know, with someone so I can have it because this is how it is, because I got to do all my tally with the boys, you know. And then you have those, you know, females that say, well, what am I supposed to do? This is the only way that I can make my money or I can make my living, you know. And what does it really mean when it comes to this energy, and what has been an involvement of mixing energy with someone else that have their issues that goes back? Because when I hear it, I kind of smile when I hear someone say, well, I'm tired of waiting on my twin, and I'm tired of this and that, and I'm just going to go find me someone else. I say, well, good luck, because guess what? You're going to have to deal with that person and the shit that they have within them too as well, and then you're just taking on their energy with your energy. So good luck with that. But then again, let's see how far you can take it, because I'm telling you that even spirit is doing blocks, okay? Like what you call cock block or pussy, whatever, blocks. And these blocks are necessary so that way you really start going within internally and go deeper. What is your association with thinking, I gotta have sex? Oh, I gotta have it now. You remember that movie, She's Gotta Have It? I don't remember the whole details of it, but I remember the title itself was a representation of, and I don't want to place it on just females because it's on both sides, where you feel you have to have it. And so you ask yourself, just like when you say, I gotta eat, because there's something within you emotionally that you're looking for satisfaction and being gratified by it through sex, food, money, power. See, the power plays, the seductions, the manipulations. I'm gonna go sneak into this person's bed. I'm gonna in my country they call it jacket, where the female go get herself pregnant by another male so she can plant it, tell another man, say, you know, all this programming. And what is the meaning of it? Because the sacredness of sex has been so disintegrated. The sacredness of the female body has been disintegrated. The sacredness of the masculine body, because he's just as important as the female. It's not, but it's a matter of what is changing. And we're talking about the integration of the alpha and the omega male, as I mentioned previously, and how that balance is what creates what they showed it to me in a quadrant, okay, the fours. So it wasn't just a matter, and I'm talking about energy itself. So, you know, it can be in, you know, one person's body, because there's different aspects that shows up with this energy. There could be a female in the masculine energy, but she also has her feminine energy that may be more dominant in strength. There's too much Lilith, and she's not balanced with her Eve, where she knows when to let go and surrender. So it's not even just the in the masculine space of surrendering, it's also in the feminine space of surrendering. It's everything that comes together. And how much more is it being brought into balance? And as you work through this balance within yourself, and not just say, I'm healing, but you're also shifting out the thoughts and the beliefs and the emotional attachments that you have to the experiences that you've had that have created these blocks. Do you feel like you have to have permission from your family or your mother in order to have the relationship? Do you have fear, again, when it comes to sexuality and your views about sexuality? If within your culture, is it just for procreational purposes? Is it just for, you know, being married because you're having a family tradition? And so there are so many people walking the planet that have not even had the experience of truly being in love, like really fully being in love. And more readings come my way from people who they want to know, when is that love coming in? And I have to say to them, well, if you want to hear the truth, we're going to start from you first. And then you have the next set of people say, well, I found the love of my life, but they're not talking to me. They've moved away from me. I don't see them. They're not calling me. They're not responding, because you're letting go of codependency. You're now connecting to your heart. And what is your heart telling you? Do you need it to be validated all the time? Do you feel like as if If you feel that love means that I got to hear from them and I got to see them all the time, or if I don't, then, you know, you're in fear of being abandoned and rejected. So do you associate that if you are participating sexually with that person and if they're not hugging you, do you feel that you're abandoned, that little child or the inner child is seeking love in the wrong or right places? Because I'm not even placing as wrong and right, but you know what I'm talking about. Where do you place your value of yourself? Are you honoring your body? Do you look at your body as being honored when it comes to sex? You see? Or do you think that it's just a pocket and, you know, a pocket of storing other people's energies? And I'm not judging, but you got to ask yourself, how much are you going to keep taking it into your life force? Where do you place it? What value do you place with it? Where do you think it takes you? And do you realize how much more blocks exist within you? Because for true love to come onto your path, that means that you are releasing and letting go of something or someone out of your life. So that means that even if it means that you are not in communication with family members anymore, or that you've had to let go of a relationship that you're hanging on to because you want to feel safe, but you're not, but yet so you know in your heart it's not enough because something is missing, or there's an emptiness that you feel inside. There's a void that you feel. It's a different type of void. You see? Are you able to have a relationship with yourself? Are you able to go on a date by yourself? I went on a date by myself yesterday and I had a marvelous time. When I got my massage, I went and had my food and I felt great, you know? And even when I went to get my massage, I was dressed up nice. I said, damn, I act like as if I'm going on a date. And I sure as heck did. And I feel good. I feel great. And of course, we all desire to connect to someone else, to experience love with someone. And it is happening, but it's happening in a different way. It's not about just boy meets girl, girl meets boy, or boy, boy, girl, girl. And you go date, then you wait for the phone calls, then you have sex, you know, whichever time frame you do it, whether first day or second day, it doesn't matter. No need to label, you know what I mean? Because, you know, when it comes to the twin soul path, it's like you feel that connection. It has nothing to do with how long you've dated or if you did date at all. You feel and know this is true love. And this true love is what you have desired, what you have asked for all your millenniums, not all your life. Because whether you've seen them and been with them from one lifetime to the next one, the fact of the matter is we've been collecting data from all this time because we descended in consciousness so we can come back again to true love, because we wanted to know ourselves and to experience ourselves in the grandest form ever by going through this cycle. And so this cycle, I think they call it the Mayan calendar cycle, is now completing itself. And that means it's completing itself from all of the programming that has been involved, everything that happened during that time when they had ascended, the Mayans, which I was around that time, they left, and everything was in the physical space was left behind. But now we're recreating this ascension, and this ascension takes place where everything is going to be in, you know, on earth as it is in heaven, and heaven on earth. It's together. And that means that to get back to this true love, you are releasing and letting go of all the stuff that you have collected throughout lifetimes. Not to blame anyone, you know, with your families and stuff like that. It's like they're a part of your union, okay? The contrast. They're a part of this entire cycle. Every single person that has whatever elements in their chart, it's all a part of this cycle of how you're coming back to yourself. And releasing all the fears and the dogma that has been surrounding relationships and everything we're having a relationship with, okay? But the most important thing is starting the relationship with yourself and to come back to this true love beyond saying the word twin soul, because I call this my true love, what your heart has been desiring, not your sexual organs only, your heart. Okay, where you're able to be intimate and feeling like, you know, like you're feeling this completion within yourself and what's connecting now. Okay, where even if you don't speak the word, or if you don't hear the word I love you, you feel it without having to hear it. See? You've never, everybody says, well, I've never seen God. I've never seen that. But you know that God is here. You know that God exists. You know you exist. You've existed before. And it's letting go of what you feel you need to have validated and the beliefs you have surrounding a relationship and the codependency that has existed with relationship, including codependency with sex. And how you view sex and where you take sex. And when you are moving into that space of true love, that means that you're allowing yourself to experience it now, but you're experiencing it where you're in greater harmony within yourself. Within yourself. And as you are creating this inner harmony, then everything that you are creating in a space of inner harmony will start to reflect in the outer. And that's the key. Because there's so many keys and codes that are coming in when it comes to the shifts that are happening right now. So I'm going to leave it at that point with that. And just, you know, from what Spirit is guiding to just specifically to feel into the change that's occurring right now. And see yourself as who you are, whether you're in the female body with the masculine energy. Where are you connecting to that energy, where you are now having a change in your thoughts when it comes to males, if you're in a female body, right? Where that programming of, oh, I got to find a man to take care of me, right? Or go have a baby so I can make pretty babies because he's a white, you know, light skin or dark, you know, whatever, you know, or create babies so that way you can have your financial things set up. I'm telling you, I'm keeping it real, okay? And then you have some of the males that they will say, oh, I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna wife her, but I'm gonna have my chick here on the side, you know, my I'm gonna forget whatever name that goes, all these different names, and I'm gonna get her pregnant some more so that way no man is not gonna want her. I've heard that before. Yep. See, or and it's just think about whatever has existed. And all of those thoughts that's been transcending throughout lifetimes within the subconscious fields, within the subconscious energy, it's dilapidating. Dilapidating. Because the minute I hear someone says, I have to, programming. Why do you have to? Where did it start? What is the root of it? Because too often people stay in relationships where they're so unhappy and they create diseases of the heart, mind, and soul. Cancers, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart attacks, strokes, okay? They want to get out of the marriage or the relationship because they're unhappy, but they stay in it anyway, you know, because they're in fear. Oh, well, I'm depending on him or her for her money because we have a mortgage to pay and bills to pay and all these things, and we have children and all that stuff, and what am I going to do, what am I going to do, and you stay there miserably. For what? Those are physical things. And yes, there's children involved. Hey, you're not the first and not the last with someone that has children. And you know what? Children are resilient. And they feel and know if something doesn't feel right, if it's fake or if it's not authentic. It is healthier for you to work through yourself in what you're healing. So your children will see that you're being authentic and that you are allowing yourself to be able to experience true love, even if it means that you're by yourself. Sometimes it's good to sit by yourself and be in a relationship by yourself so you can connect with someone who's also done the same thing, so that way it is much healthier. Do you choose healthier relationships, or do you choose the constant chaos, continuing cycling of relationships that is not for the highest and best for you or your children, for the matter? See? So all of that stuff is what I call being pushed out during this portal. See? During this portal. And coming back to the space of inner power, boundaries, staying in your lane, tuning in and tapping into what's being shown to you from the spiritual sense, how you're connecting, how you're receiving this time of magic during this energy, you know, whether you're celebrating Christmas or, you know, just the element of coming together with your family, but it's receiving and giving. Do you have a problem receiving? Do you have a problem giving? Because it works together, you know, coming into this union space within yourself and with your twin soul or anyone. It's, do you know when it's time to create the boundaries? And receiving, you know, receiving, receptive, feminine, allowing. And then the masculine part of you when it's time to move forward and still be in your strength and your inner power, knowing when to speak up. Let your voice be heard. See? Working through all the chakras and everything that is to come into alignment, so that way you feel that inner peace and freedom. That when you reach to that place where you are no longer, I would say, minimized with the triggers, that even if whatever is repeating itself in that space with you, that you don't feel affected, that you can now laugh with your pain. Cry with your pain, laugh with your joy. You know, it's like, or cry with laughter and joy, you know, and cry. And the pain turns into that power, and the joy, you see it for what it is, and you see where it has brought you, because you have created that inner balance that you have always desired, because the true love of your heart is now here. See? It's happening within you, it's happening within me, and to get to that place, not where you're physically getting there, but you're energetically bringing yourself there. It's energy. It's all energy that we are working through right now. And know that divine will is at hand with these unions. Divine will is at hand with the changes on the planet. Divine will is at hand when it comes to what we are manifesting, because it is the desire of Source to see itself in the delight of itself, in how it remembers itself while it awakens itself through the contrast of itself as it brings itself together through unity, and also honoring the individuation of the self. So I leave you with these words, and I am in gratitude for the messages that do come through to me, and I'm in gratitude that I have the gift and the ability to assimilate the information and the data. And if anyone is interested, I'm still offering readings at a discounted rate of $44.44 for 30 minutes. I do Skype readings, telephone readings, and if you're in the New York, New Jersey area, I do in-person readings as well, which involves past life regression. I do twin soul readings as well. I'm able to read energy. I'm also a medium, so sometimes messages will come through from loved ones that have transitioned to the other side. And also I do affirmations, you know, because affirmations are powerful. You know, what comes after I am? What are you invoking? You know what I mean? What are you bringing forth when it comes to the self and honoring the self, okay? Honoring others, acknowledgement, okay? Speaking up. Speaking up is one of the main things as well, because as you acknowledge yourself, your path, and not in fear of your path and who you are, what you represent for yourself, your journey, what love means for you, relationships, all of it comes together. Also, feel free to check out my website. It's www.thereturnofthegardenofeden.com. I also have a Patreon account, as I indicated, where I have segments that I record that is going in the book, and it will be available in case there's more detailed information that you may want to hear or listen that may help you on your path. Those segments are for, as I said before, is for those who are really truly interested, and it's very sacred and private information that may be on there. And the tiers start from $5.55 if as far as donation, for anyone who would like to just donate, you know, for what I am doing as far as the information I'm putting out there. And then I also have the tier of $11.11 and up for those who are not only receiving links to the dreams I have with pictures and stuff, but also where I have sessions that I offer for 2 or 3 times a month, depending on your journey. And my email address is thegardenofeden1111@gmail.com. So I thank you so much for joining me. I apologize that the segment had to be in 2, but you know what? It's okay. Everything's coming together as one. I want to send you all such a warm, loving energy of love and light, however you celebrate it, because what's important is that you're celebrating life, you're celebrating love, you're celebrating a new you, and not be in fear of the changes that are happening within you. We have been desiring these changes, and it's not about pointing fingers, but you be the change of what you choose to experience. And on this note, I love you. Namaste, beautiful souls. I honor you.